Prepare for thrills, chills, and everything in between. It's Vamptober on KLRN Radio. All October long, your favorite KLRN shows are taking a walk on the dark side. Dive into bone-chilling stories, uncover creepy science, and explore the paranormal with our special vampire-themed episodes. Don't miss a moment of the fright-filled fun. Tune in all month long for Vamptober, only on KLRN Radio.
Are you brave enough to step into the shadowy realm of Barovia? Join us on Asgard North, where we unravel the mysteries of Ravenloft, one chilling tale at a time. From the terror of Strahd to the whispers of the Vistani, we're your guide through the fog. Tune in, if you dare, for a journey where this episode could be your last, or your most thrilling adventure yet. Saturday the 26th at 8 PM Eastern. And subscribe to Asgard North, where legends come alive and darkness whispers back.
This Halloween, KLRN Radio brings you a hilarious journey back in time. Relive the classic terror of War of the Worlds as performed in the only way KLRN players could do it. Join us for a special encore presentation of this legendary broadcast, originally aired in 2021. Will Earth survive a Martian invasion? Don't miss the thrills, the chills, the iconic terror, and the bong rips. It's War of the Worlds, KLRN Radio style. Tune in for the replay on Halloween night, only on KLRN Radio's X feed.
The turnips.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of He Said, She Said. I am one of your hosts for the evening, Aggie, and with me is my awesome co-host, Rick. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing awesome, except I keep biting off more than I can chew. So here in about 30 minutes, we're doing Misfits Less Mischief because they're all out. So KLR radio feed is taking over for Misfits Mischief.
Wow.
The announcement drops in a little bit, and then, of course, there'll be some stuff that drops automatedly while I'm on the air with you, and then once I'm just running feed for Joe, I will take over and interact more. So this is an all call to anybody who likes Misfits Mischief. Once you see that stuff start dropping, just feel free to chime in, share your own, use the Misfits Less Mischief tag for tonight only, tag the Misfits account, because we're taking over. They actually, because I do write for them, she's like, we could just set you up to use the account. And I'm like, it's more fun to make it seem like I stole your night. So we're going to do that instead.
This is true.
You can set me up the account for next time you guys need coverage. But for tonight, we're just going to act like we took it over. But anyway, so yeah, that kicks off roughly about 25 minutes from now. So yay, fun times.
We can have a shorter, show tonight in view of the fact that you do have some other stuff and people do have fun with Misfits. So.
No, it's all good. I actually have stuff set to drop about every 10, 15 minutes until we're off the air anyway. So, but if we run out of steam, we can all. I mean, you did pull double duty last night, so
that's pretty epic. I gotta admit.
and then like 90 minutes in, you're like, "Hey guys, we're supposed to be done by now." And Brad's like, "We got more time to fill," and you're like, "But I don't." This isn't my night.
This isn't even my night.
I have to do this tomorrow. I did this as a joke, and now I'm here for 2 hours. feel like I'm being held hostage. I should have broke it at some point and been like, hey Aggie, turn the camera on and blink if you're being held hostage.
It was a lot of fun. And I have to admit, Paul and I did really work hard to keep this from Brad. And it was very difficult because, as y'all know, Brad is my other co-host. And he was complaining to me in DM about not knowing who the special guest was. I just had to like, gee, I can't imagine. I mean, has Paul dropped a hint or what? It's like, it was hilarious.
Well,
I felt so bad, but in my defense, I didn't lie to him. I told him that one of my girlfriends was coming to visit, and yes, I'm friends with Paul's wife. So, so I did not lie.
Not to pull a Dr. Phil, but a lie by omission is still a lie.
Okay, I didn't omit anything. My girlfriend showed up. She just happened to bring our friend with her.
You failed to mention your girlfriend showed up with a +1 though. So there's that.
No, because I did hint that it was a couple.
Nice.
I did say that. So
you realize
so,
I was
yeah.
shit, right?
I'm just saying I was like really, really, really having a difficult time because I didn't want to lie to him.
And
He's my friend.
And I inadvertently almost blew it because when it took him forever to respond, he finally responded to me because he's like, okay, so are you producing tonight or is Jeff producing? I'm like, I am. He does the other one that you do with Ordy and I do this one, at least until we figure out how long Cranky's going to want to be off. And so I said, so is it a replay or is it live? Because last I knew Paul was traveling. He's like, traveling. I was like, oh shit. What do you travel? Like, hey, I'm just going off what I saw on Facebook. I don't know nothing else. And of course, I didn't mention that he tagged you in Facebook either.
Yeah, it's a good thing Brad doesn't go to Facebook often.
Yeah, apparently Brad avoids the book of faces. Although knowing what your first name is, considering we brought up Weasel more than once last night, I thought that was kind of a nice little twist.
Yeah, I know. I thought that was funny. I was like, that is, man, I can't believe he has not figured this out.
Well, it is Brad.
I know. So
I mean, love him to death, but he's well coiffed for a reason. He has to be. He gets by on his looks.
Oh man, I am going to catch hell for this when he listens to the show.
Why would you? I'm the one trashing him.
Because it'll happen. I don't know. I just. But anyway, yeah, we had a great time. We had a great visit. They're lovely people, and the visit was too short, but they want to, come back and visit. They have friends in Texas, so extending next time they want to extend their stay, both places, so that they have more time to, go and sightsee and everything. And I'm like, I'm in the middle of nowhere. There's no sightseeing. And Paul points to my backyard and said, I'm pretty sure this is called sightseeing. But he was so happy. He went fishing and caught a 5-pound bass and had a great time. So.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's like showing me pictures of your backyard, which if I've seen those before, I never was paying attention. That said that you have an awesome backyard.
It's a nice backyard. It's one of the reasons we don't have to travel anywhere. We're on constant vacation mode here.
But yeah, so he's like, yeah, and I caught a fish. I was like, holy shit, she's got a resort in her backyard.
Yeah, no video. No. So, but yeah, it was a good visit. I was very happy that they came to visit, and I honestly we took pictures and everything. And I normally don't post pictures on social media unless I get permission from him, and I haven't spoken to him. But he's a tall guy, and I felt like a little shrimpy next to him. And of course, his wife is also tall. So I was like the odd man out because everybody's tall around me, and I'm like looking up at everybody.
Wait, Raptor, what do you mean still issues getting to the Truth feed? We don't have authorization to stream on Truth Social yet. I'm trying to figure out how we can do that because they have the same thing, but apparently they're picky about who can do it. But
Oh, that's odd. Okay.
that
Well,
that question confuses me.
I don't have a Truth Social account, so I don't know how it works over there. I'm trying to like limit my social media presence because it's just so much of it.
You sound like a cranky old woman right now. Do we need to start telling everybody?
I'm very cranky.
Do we need to take a moment just so you can tell everybody to get off your lawn? Would that make you feel better?
I literally said that today to a deer that was apparently chewing on one of my canna lilies, and I just yelled, "Get off my lawn!" and it took off. Oh man, such a great phrase. You've arrived at your I don't give a shit anymore when you use that phrase indiscriminately to any being that happens to be there. It doesn't even have to be human. So
Get off my lawn.
yeah.
Yeah, Scotty. We do video hybrids. Aggie's like secret agent woman, so yeah. So some shows are video, some shows are video hybrid where we do like cool graphics and stuff instead, and this is one of those. But
I don't feel comfortable being on a lot of videos. I did it for John because John does a video type of thing on YouTube, and that was fine. But no.
we're doing video on YouTube right now, man.
No, not with my camera because my camera's covered.
Well, no, I'm saying what I've done is put up the cool little spooky season graphic is kind of because I kind of thought of that idea because Spreaker back in the day used to export to YouTube directly. Apparently, they don't do that anymore. But I just noticed today that YouTube has an RSS feed exporter, so I was like, maybe that's why they've stopped doing it. But yeah, Spreaker used to basically take whatever the show graphic was, throw it on the top, and make it into a video, kind of like Blib. But instead of doing that, I just find something cool to throw up. Like when we did the roundtable last night, I wasn't sure who I was going to be on camera, so just in case it was going to wind up being just me, because if there's more than me there and people don't want to be on camera, I kind of feel weird being the only one on camera. So that's when I'll usually throw a graphic up and stuff. So I made a cool graphic about being inside of a cigar bar, and then everybody was like, "We want to be on camera." I'm like, "But I made a cool graphic."
Okay, Andrew does make a point. I am dressed for bed, and that's one of the reasons I avoid being on camera.
It's
I'm
Friday.
already in pajamas.
It's Friday. I did my entire workday in my pajamas. What are you talking about? I'm wearing my pajamas.
Well, it's one thing to have pajama bottoms and a semi-nice top or whatever. When you're I'm literally in pajamas.
Yeah. Just to prove it, I'm literally in my pajamas right now. I'm wearing my Darth Vader shirt. Just saying.
So I guess we're gonna be. This is the last. This is the last Friday in October, isn't it?
The last spooky season show we're going to be doing, because by the time we come back, it'll be it'll be right before the election, so everything's going to be nuts and back to normal, and still trying to find ways to unplug from the crazy, because I do politics 30 hours a week now, so 90-minute breaks kind of nice.
Yeah, we kind of try to avoid politics on this show because it's the end of the week. You want to unwind. We need to speak about the weird stuff that's out there. And you texted me today and wanted to know what should we talk about, and I was like, for some weird reason, genetic mutations was on in my mind. I don't know why. I had not been discussing this with anybody. As a matter of fact, prior to you sending me that text, I was literally singing part of the soundtrack from the movie Grease. So it made no sense that genetic mutation jumped into my head. But there it was. And I'm like, it's kind of odd because we do have certain genetic mutations that are, benign, they work in our favor, and all that stuff. But Hollywood tends to take a benign mutation and just run with it and do all sorts of things. And a lot of people don't know that there are certain mutations that are actually dominant, that are the the things that we consider normal are the actual genetic mutation, like cilantro. Did you know that with cilantro, the dominant trait was to make it taste like soap? That was the dominant trait. And then something happened in one of the letters in one of our chromosomes that changed it, and that was the mutation. And then we could eat it just fine, like an herb. And but the dominant trait was to actually it tasted like soap. That's the dominant trait. So a benign mutation would be, yeah, you can now taste cilantro like a normal herb as opposed to soap. So, but I don't think Hollywood used that as part of their spooky movies or anything. Somebody that could taste soap and cilantro. I don't know. Not the kind of mutation that Hollywood likes.
Yeah, no, I don't think that one's ever been a thing. But yeah, it was funny because you were like, but I don't know how to tie this into like spooky season. And I'm like, I can. And you're like,
okay. Well, and did you know that having 6 digits is actually the dominant trait, not the recessive one?
The
recessive one is having 5. Having 6 is the dominant.
Well, that just seems weird because if it rarely happens, it seems by default that would be considered the recessive. But how we're going to tie this together, folks, just so you know, is she's going to talk about a mutation, and then I'm going to find either a horror movie that fits with it or something that would fit as possibly a Halloween costume or something. So for 6 Figured, I sent you one earlier, but I found one that was better. And I think you're going to recognize this when I say it. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Yes.
Princess Bride, 1987. The 6 Figured man left me alive, but he gave me these as Inigo Montoya strokes the scars on his cheeks. So,
yes.
princess costume. Just saying.
Now, the weird thing is when the 6th finger shows up, and it doesn't grow as long as the other finger. So when they showed the 6 Fingered man, it showed all the fingers being almost the same length, and I'm like, okay, that wouldn't happen. And I was like, and then somebody, I don't know who was sitting next to me, one of my girlfriends, don't ruin it. And I'm like, okay, fine. I'm not gonna ruin it.
And you're like,
but that's not how it would happen.
Yeah, she's in her head doing the old lady from Facebook. That's not how this works. That's not how.
That's not how it works. Yeah, that's not how it works. And you actually would have a extra digit in both hands and both feet. So that was when they had him as a 6 Fingered man, you notice the other hand didn't have 6 fingers. It was just one hand. At least it seemed like to me, but it was just the one hand and everything. And like I said, the digit would not be that long. It would be a short little stub right next to the pinky. I had a girlfriend in elementary school who did have the 6 digits, and her the tiny pinky that's next to the regular pinky would have a tiny little nail, and she would paint it like she would paint the rest of her nails, and it just looked so cute. And she would have rings on them and everything, and all the girls wanted a 6 finger because she knew how to show it off. For us, it looks really cool. We just thought it was awesome. We didn't think that it was kind of that we were the mutants and she was the regular one. But that's an example of a benign mutation where the dominant trait is actually in the minority as opposed to the recessive trait. So I always thought that it was kind of cool. And she's the only one that I've known in my entire life that had 6 digits on each appendage.
So interestingly enough, while I was doing research, just to kind of, take the entertainment side of this a little bit more, I found 10 famous people that were known to have 6 fingers. The first one was Jimmy Cliff, who happened to be a musician, if anybody recognizes that name. He was born with an extra digit on each hand, but they were removed right away so as not to get in the way of his jamming. Jimmy Cliff is a legendary reggae musician known for his cover of I Can See Clearly Now. Next one, Gemma Arterton, or Arterton, sorry, an actress.
Gemma
Apparently
Arterton. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
she was a Bond girl.
Yep, and 6 fingers.
Oh wow, okay, that's pretty interesting. Does she have them still, or does she have it removed? Because a lot of people have it removed.
So yeah, she's best known for her roles in films such as Tamara Drew, Hansel and Gretel, Witch Hunter, and Clash of the Titans. While many know about her notable film career, few are aware that she has an extra finger on each hand. Her parents encouraged their children to explore their creative abilities. Gemma's sister, Hannah, took to sing, whereas Gemma chose acting. During her teenage years, she was part of the masquerade at Maskin Theater, appearing in the production of The Massacre of... I can't read that, but whatever. Print's too small. I'm getting old. I should have put my glasses on. Apparently, she still has them. There's no record. It actually says has, not had. So I guess she still has them.
Well, that's interesting.
So let's see if I recognize any of the other names. Anne Boleyn apparently had 6 fingers.
I had heard of that. Yeah.
The wife of Henry VIII. I'm Henry VIII. Oh, sorry.
Poor thing lost her head. But anyway.
So Taye Diggs, the actor, apparently had 6 fingers. He said, well, he had them removed. He's like, as a child, I had an extra digit on each hand. So I guess those were removed. Antonio Six Fingers Alfonseca, a baseball player, and he's actually got video of the dude. That looks weird. It's like he's got an extra. Hang on, I'm gonna put this on the screen. I keep forgetting I can do that. Hang on, but yeah, it's like dude's got an extra pinky. It's weird looking. But yeah, so there he is in a still shot of a video for those of you watching on the video feed, and it literally looks like he has an extra pinky.
Yeah, it does.
And that's supposedly the dominant trait, huh? Because
as I understand it,
I guess apparently
6.
I was going to say,
yeah,
I guess
well,
apparently it happens more than we. So.
Yeah, like I said, I've never in my personal, day-to-day thing with other people, I haven't run into somebody with, 6 fingers on each hand. But I grew up with, a friend of mine did, and she would come over to spend the day because her mom worked at the same place that my dad did. And sometimes they had to do Saturday duty or something, for inventory or for whatever reason. And so she would come over and play over at my house, and we'd be there, and mom would actually bring out the nail polish remover. And of course, in Puerto Rico, there were 2 nail polish colors. Growing up, you had the white, that was the sparkly white, the not cream, and then the cream red, because the thing to do was the moon on the nails. So you would paint the nails with the sparkly white color, and then you would put the red and expose just part of the bottom part where the cuticle is, and make like a little moon, like a moon was rising with the red. And that was like the big thing to do when I was growing up. And so we would give each other, well, we would try to mimic this. It was so difficult to do. I never got the hang of it, but yeah, we would do all that. And before she was due to get picked up by her mom would come by and just remove all of the nail polish completely. so that her mom wouldn't be upset. But she always, had her nails painted bright red, and she always painted that little pinky, and it just looks so cute. I never thought it looked bad. I just thought I thought that I had been cheated because I didn't get a 6 finger on each hand. Okay.
Like, why do they have an extra finger? I want an extra finger.
I don't.
I want the extra finger. Where's my finger?
I know it was, but some kids can be cruel, and she would get teased over it, but it was always the boys. The boys would tease her, but she didn't care. She was very confident of herself. She really liked that part of herself. and we were just in third grade, at the time. And she was very self-assured, even at that age, and so that's a testament to really good parenting, because her parents just, told her, it's like, it's a gift. It's just something extra because you're extra. So, go with it, that kind of thing. And she did. And last time I was in Puerto Rico, last I heard, um she had gotten married and she had like 5 kids or something. And she was actually the CEO of one of the companies over in San Juan. I mean, she was very successful. So, growing up, I just never thought that that was a bad thing. And then, watching The Princess Bride and seeing the six finger man, that was the first thing that came to my head, was like, it wouldn't look like that. and, and why is it a bad thing? That was the thing. Why is that bad?
Well, apparently it's a lot more common than anybody thinks, because I mean, I'm just reading through person after person after person that was born that way, but a lot of them had the extemporaneous stitches surgically removed. One was
That's interesting.
Hampton Halls, who was actually a pretty well-known jazz pianist. He was born with 6 fingers on each hand, and they were surgically removed. Garfield Sobers apparently was a cricketer from Great Britain. Same issue. Was born in 1936. Had 6 fingers. I mean, it's just I don't know. It was kind of a weird.
There's a lot of people with it. You just don't see it very often. And sometimes, like I said, some people will have it surgically removed, either for aesthetic purposes or because the parents, just don't want to deal with. And I don't know, that it's something for the parents to deal with. It's for the kid to deal with. But, in a lot of instances, the parents do take it upon themselves to have it surgically removed. And I don't want to say it's like the same thing, but it's kind of like taking your dog in to have the dew claw removed. And it's kind of like something the dog doesn't even need. So, and it's the same thing with us. We've evolved our appendages and the digits to only need 5, or at least work with 5. So I guess a 6th one would be considered superfluous, and some people just have it removed.
So apparently it is a lot more common than anybody thinks. I happened to be looking up some statistics on it while you were talking. So this is apparently a disorder called polydactyly. The condition of having extra fingers or even toes may seem rare. It is surprisingly more common than one might think, however. This, what they refer to as a congenital limb malformation, occurs in approximately 1 in every 500 to 1,000 live births worldwide, making it one of the most prevalent congenital anomalies. Despite its statistical rarity, polydactyly has graced the lives of numerous renowned individuals throughout history.
Not to be confused with electrodactyly, which is where you're born with the 2 fingers that are next to each other fused together. So it looks like Spock,
Yeah.
And so you have only 2 appendages, or sometimes 3, but sometimes just 2. The thumb just isn't even there. So there's that too. That one's far more rare, and that is actually a recessive gene, if I recall correctly. But the polydactyly with the 6 fingers and everything, that's not recessive. That's actually dominant. It blew my mind when I found that out. But it's the same thing with the cilantro. Tasting of soap is the dominant. It's supposed to be. That was the way it was supposed to be. That you tasted it as that soapy, icky taste, not the herbal on top of tacos taste.
Yeah, trust me. It still tastes like soap to me. But anyway, I found a spooky season tie-in for this one too.
Basically, if it tastes like soap to you, that means that your chromosome, the sequence, is correct in that particular chromosome. I think it's chromosome 11. That sequence is correct. If you don't taste the soap, you're one of the letters got mixed up in that chromosome.
If you don't taste the soap, you're a mutant, then it explains so many things.
Yes. I'm a mutant in you.
So I found the spooky season tie-in for Electrodactyly. Grady Stiles Jr., also known as Lobster Boy, went from a circus act to a murderer.
What?
Yep. Grady Stiles Jr. would become known as Lobster Boy and was born in Pittsburgh in 1937. At that point, his father was already part of the freak show circuit. Adding his kids with ectrodactyly to the act, Grady Stiles Jr.'s case was pretty severe. In addition to his hands, he also had it in his feet and therefore could not walk properly. And he went on later to become a mass murderer, not a mass murderer, but a murderer.
Oof. That is unexpected.
He's actually known as the evil lobster boy.
The evil what?
The evil lobster boy.
Oh my goodness. That's a hell of a tie-in.
You didn't think I could pull this off.
No, I did not think that you could find something, but yeah, there it is. There it is. Okay. But anyway, let's see. There's one of my favorites is heterochromia, which is where your eyes don't match in color. So sometimes you'll have a blue or a green and a green one, or a green and a brown one. My grandmother had one green eye, one brown. And I'm not kidding when I say this. My great grandmother would take her to the White Witches to have her cured. And it obviously did not work. But this is one of the reasons why my grandmother refused to allow me to write with my left hand. She would literally tie my left hand to the chair so that I would be forced to use my right hand. I was about 3 or 4 years old when this happened, because she felt that that was a sign of not the devil, but an evil portent. Okay. And so never mind that at least 5 of my cousins that I know of write with their left hands. Okay. She left them alone. But apparently it was an issue for me because she couldn't get her hands on the other 5 is my guess. I don't know. I was the one that lived in town at the time. So she did have heterochromia, and she, until she died, her glasses were tinted so that you could not tell. She refused to have clear glasses. They had to be tinted because she didn't want people to know that one of her eyes was green and the other one was brown. She was so afraid of someone saying that it was the mark of the devil, or that it was, an evil portent, or, something to that effect, that you would not see her without her glasses. When she would retire for the evening, she wouldn't take those glasses off until the lights were off in her room. Never mind, the door was closed, but the glasses would not come off until she turned off the lights. She actually told me that because she didn't want the risk of anyone seeing, or spirits seeing it. And I'm going, the spirits already know, but I didn't say anything because she probably would have just put a curse on me or something. I don't know. But she was adamant about that. And then when my one of my cousins gave birth to her daughter, and her daughter had one a golden brown, and the other one was a hazel green. But it was very close enough in color that you could not tell. So we didn't tell my grandmother. She passed away not knowing that that child had heterochromia. We were more afraid of what she would do with the White Witches. So we kept quiet about it. We figured it's not going to do any harm. And you couldn't really tell unless you looked really, really close, to the eyes. So it was okay. But I know that one famous movie that stands out for me was obviously Demolition Man.
Mm-hmm.
Simon had heterochromia. He had one blue eye, one brown. I think it was golden brown
Yeah, it
and
was brown.
blue. And so, and that was one of the biggest mess ups in that movie because there's a scene where they switch the eyes.
It's like,
Most
oop.
people, yeah, most people didn't catch that the first time that it came out, but
Well, of course, an anthropologist would.
I would.
So, what if I told you I found yet another Halloween tie-in?
With heterochromia?
Yep.
What?
It's a little bit of a stretch, but it still kind of fits. What if I told you that the person playing the most recent iteration of one of the most popular boy costumes ever has a mild case of heterochromia where the inner eye ring is different than the rest of the eye color? And that would be one Henry Cavill,
Ah,
who plays Superman.
he is the only reason I want to be young again.
Interesting side note, Kate Bosworth, who played Lois Lane, also has a slight case of heterochromia.
Oh no, I love Henry Cavill. He's just I've liked him in everything he's done. I remember watching Stardust, and he played a fop that was vying for the attentions of Victoria, and he was blonde in that movie, and most people didn't even recognize him. But I recognized him because I have watched him in The Tudors. He was the only reason I watched The Tudors. Once his character was gone, I stopped watching. Just whatever. But I mean, he's such a great nerd. I just adore that about him. He loves gaming. I mean, seriously, when one of the things that I found out about him was he was actually in the middle of World of Warcraft when he was being called by Zack Snyder. Zack was calling him to let him know that he got the part of Superman. But he was just going to let it go to voicemail because he was in the middle of a fight until he looked down and said Zack Snyder, and he just dropped everything and grabbed the phone. I'm like, he could have gone to voicemail. You got the part. Whatever. But everywhere he goes, oh, you play, Warhammer? Oh, here, give me your deets. He makes friends wherever he goes. So
Nice.
yeah. And Danielle, he is extremely easy on the eyes, and he is the only reason I would want to be young again. I can honestly say that's it. He's the only reason. Because right now it's kind of scary for a 57-year-old woman to be admiring a much younger individual like that. So
Yeah. Aren't you the one that told me age is the number?
yes, but
There's
okay,
always
fine, whatever, right?
always a but when it's you.
No, it's just he doesn't even know I'm alive. Okay, so it's okay.
You don't know that. Maybe he listens to your podcast.
Oh, wouldn't that be trippy? Because he does that. He will go on people's podcasts, regardless of how big they are or whatever. As long as it's like Warcraft and stuff like that, and Warhammer, yeah, he'll do them.
So one other spooky season related tie-in on this one, Mila Kunis, who is known for playing a few crazy people in some of her recent movies, it also suffers from heterochromia. She has one blue eye and one green one, I believe. I don't have the notes in front of me anymore, but it's weird because I can see it in some of the pictures that I was looking at. I can't see it in hers, but apparently they're saying that she does. But I mean,
and speaking of, in the spooky season, one of my favorite movies to watch during October is Practical Magic, and the main guys had a one blue eye, one green. So he had heterochromia as well. I'm not sure if it's in real life, if Aidan Quinn has heterochromia, but he did for the movie. So
apparently a lot of stars have it. I'm looking at like all kinds of it looks like Demi Moore has it to a degree, Olivia Wilde, Alice Eve, Jane Seymour.
It's not unusual to have it to a degree. What is unusual is to have colors that are disparate, that don't match, like the green, the bright green and the dark brown,
Yeah.
the blue and black, the white and the blue, which I've seen. There was a, a soap opera that I was watching when I was living in Germany, and one of the characters, she had to wear she wore contacts because the coloration of the irises was so starkly different that it proved to be a distraction. So when she did movies, depending on the character she was playing, it could be okay. But hers was such a light blue, it almost looked white. And then the other one was a really dark, dark, dark charcoal gray. And it was really creepy. So, but when
Scott,
she was doing, TV, she did the.
sorry. Scotty from the chat with an even better Halloween related tie-in, David Bowie, but his was a result of an injury. So was Mila Kunis's, by the way. But now somebody's brought us 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon into Labyrinth. So there's that.
Oh, which, by the way, Labyrinth is being redone. It's rebooted.
Oh, no.
Yes.
No.
It's with Tom Hiddleston, and he looks fabulous.
That might okay. Hiddleston might do it justice. Might.
I will post the poster that I found, and I'm just like, shit, I'm gonna have to watch this now.
I don't trust half that shit anymore because they put all that stuff out on Facebook and everywhere now, and then you go and look and you realize it's just AI and people are being stupid. Like I see things for like a friggin' Stargate reemergence all the time, and I'm like, just stop. You guys pissed me off. I realized the company that was running Stargate went bankrupt, and it which I still don't understand. That had to be some serious mismanagement because there ain't no way that show wasn't making them bank. I don't know what the hell they did, but somebody's.
I have no idea.
Every time I turn around, like this new thing is like coming out next month, Stargate Forever, and then you click on it, it's like, yeah, that's not happening. That was supposed to be 4 years ago. Fuckers.
Yeah, I'll do more research, but that's what I heard, that it was being rebooted and Tom Hiddleston was going to be in the film, and so I'll make sure before I post anything. But yeah, David Bowie. He was an avid reader. Did you know that? He read at least 2 books a week.
That doesn't surprise me.
It does not shock me at all. He was a very intelligent person too. So anyway, let's see what other mutations. I'm sure everybody knows sickle cell anemia is a mutation.
Yeah.
Right. And it is mostly found in the African continent, in the Middle East, in the Mediterranean. But what a lot of people don't know is that sickle cell actually provides a benefit. There are 2 genes associated with sickle cell, and people that carry both genes are prone to the sickle cell disease, so they have to be very careful. But the ones that carry just the one get the benefit without the detraction of the actual sickle cell, because they actually have enough of the round hemoglobin the round red blood cells to actually, carry enough oxygen through. So they're not affected by the sickle cell itself. But the benefit that they get is that it gives them an immunity from malaria, which is probably one of the most, if not the most deadly disease, one of the most deadly diseases known to man. And so that was a mutation that in a way has a beneficial component, as long, especially if you're there in Africa, in the Mediterranean, in the Middle East, where it's prevalent, because it's guarding you against that particular disease. Outside of it, since you're not prone to malaria that much over here in the States, in Canada, in Argentina, the sickle cell trait would actually not be a beneficial trait to have. And so people that do have it tend to need to be more aware and take precautions, in that. So, but I always thought that was interesting, that the benefit to having sickle cell trait is that you have an enormous immunity to malaria. And I don't think that Hollywood has ever taken that particular trait and made a movie to where, you know, the good guy has that trait as a like a, what do you call it? A superpower. So I think I stumped you.
Yeah, no. You actually,
Yeah, you can't find one, can you?
no. Well, you stumped me because I was trying to look for one while you were talking about it, and I was trying to keep up with some of the things that you were saying. And no, not. I mean, it's not an exact tie-in, but I did find something interesting. So I guess Netflix has a series. Netflix new show Supercell combines science fiction and fantasy to highlight Black community's ongoing struggle with sickle cell disease.
Really?
So, yeah. Recently, Netflix viewers have been buzzing about a new London sci-fi drama called Supercell. Since the release last month of its first season, the show has garnered over 111.8 million views on the streaming platform, earning it the #1 spot on Netflix global top 10 list. Series which follows a group of Black South Londoners who develop superpowers. So, found the tie-in. Have captivated audiences
No.
because of its unique portrayal of sickle cell disease. In addition to showcasing some of the realities of having the disease, Supercell showcases a world in which people with the sickle cell trait develop supernatural powers like telekinesis, speed, and more. So, no, you didn't stump me. It just took me a minute to find it.
Okay, bye. That's pretty funny. Okay.
And I think Jeff actually found it right before I started talking about it because he put it in the chat like a minute ago. So I think we found it around the same time. So I'm telling you, when you do 3 hours a day of live research, you get quick.
Let's see. What other? Believe it or not, color blindness is considered a beneficial mutation. Did you know that?
I did not, but
The reason being that in the and this is the weird thing. In the military, if you're colorblind, you get an exemption. So you can get separated from the military, or in case of a draft, that would exempt you from a draft. However, even in the military, they admit that people with color blindness are more adept to being able to detect fake terrain. They can see through camouflage, they can see through fake terrain areas, like sand dunes that are not formed correctly, things of that manner, because of the way, because the red green cone is either missing or damaged. They have to, they see in different colors. So what we would see as green and sand colored and everything, they see like hot pink and neon orange, and it would stand out against the gray of the actual natural background. So it's actually in certain cases that color blindness is a beneficial mutation. In certain cases, when the cone itself is not damaged but enhanced, it does cause a red-green, blindness, but it increases the range of colors that you can see. So you become like the mantis, lobster thing, mantis shrimp.
Yeah.
Where it has like 55,000 different cones or whatever, and you can see all these colors. And that's also that gives you a supervision. You can see colors that the normal eye cannot detect, which means that you can also see waves that the normal eye cannot detect either. And those people actually work with in certain areas of government and development for, research and development for lenses and microscopes and things of that uh, deal. And it's funny because normally the green red blindness is a male oriented thing because it's usually in the X chromosome. But even though, yes, women have an X chromosome as well, but because men, uh, so, but the supervision is usually a female thing. So the men would have the red green blindness, the women would have the extra vision stuff going on. So I thought that was kind of interesting that, most people is like, yes, I'm red green colorblind and it's a drag and it's really bad. But in a way, it's actually beneficial because you can see things that the human eye normally cannot detect. So there's that benefit. And in certain cases, the supervision comes into play where you're able to detect more colors than the human eye normally can detect. So there's that too.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I kind of, my brother-in-law is colorblind, and he's the one that when they would go hunting, um, he went with his group, wanted him to be the scout because he could detect if there were any other people wearing camouflage out there so that they wouldn't shoot in that direction because sometimes they would not be wearing the orange, that they glow orange vests. This was, when they were very young. He's my age. So that whole day glow orange vest thing is not a very common thing back in the early 80s. So he would go out there, he'd be the scout to make sure that if he saw other hunters, they wouldn't be shooting in that direction because he could see the camouflage would stand out as being shades of pink. What we would see as pink, he would see the camouflage. And the way he found out that it was pink, he had a box of 64 crayons and he picked out the color. This is the color that I see when people are wearing camouflage. And it was the carnation pink. So, that's how he learned his colors, was from things around him, and his sister would tell him, well, this is blue. And so he would look at it in the color, the 64 crayon pack and everything, and he would determine the shade from that. It's really interesting when you think about it. Having that supervision it would drive me crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
to be able to see things that I'm not supposed to see, yeah, that would drive me nuts.
Well, yeah, Ordy and I kind of touched on that in the last episode of Vampires on Juxtaposition because apparently one of the reasons we don't use the red night vision goggles anymore is because people were seeing all kinds of things that was freaking them the hell out. But so to tie this one in, I have to ask a question because I believe I found a tie-in, but we'll let you decide. During election years, what is one of the ways that they commonly tell you that they know who the next president's going to be because a particular what during Halloween will sell more than somebody else's, as in costume?
A mask.
Guess who was a president and was colorblind? Bill Clinton.
Really? Clinton is colorblind?
Yep. He has red-green colorblindness.
Oh, okay. That's why she wore the blue dress.
So,
okay.
Yeah, at least that was good.
Yeah, I went there.
Hang on. That actually deserves this for real. Not that was good. Another costume tie-in, because I know there's probably been tons of kids going as John Wick lately. Keanu Reeves is colorblind.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And there's one more. This one's kind of a stretch, and I have to get kind of feedback from the chat on this one. But was I the only one who was a little freaked out by Never Land on Mr. Rogers? Because or whatever the hell he called that. What I think that was, no, it wasn't Never Land. What the hell did he call that? The Land of Make Believe. That was it. Yeah, because I have to admit that freaking Lady Elaine puppet freaked me the hell out. But I win yet again because Fred Rogers was colorblind.
Lady Elaine did not freak me out because my dad introduced me to Waylon Flowers and Madam. And it was kind of the same vibe. She had the same kind of face. And here was this comedian ventriloquist with this hilarious dummy. And so when I watched Miss Lady Elaine, I was like, oh, it's kind of like the same thing. So she didn't freak me out that much. But she wasn't funny. So, okay. I kind of lost all interest.
Yeah, M in the chat. Yep, she reminded me of a mean nun.
I'm not going to unsee that.
You're welcome.
A mean nun. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, you're right. She did have that look. I was just always, I just always saw her face and I just see Madam and I would start laughing because Wayne Flowers and Madam were just hilarious to me. I mean, they were just funny. And that was when comedy was clean and it was a little suggestive, but not too much because kids could watch it and it not be obvious or anything like that. But now I can't unsee Lady Elaine as nothing but a mean. Oh man, okay.
You're welcome.
All righty. So let's see. What other really cool mutations that I know there's the people who are very flexible, the contortionists, because they have they have a syndrome that affects their ligaments and ligatures, and so they can be contortionists. They can bend in different, the people that can like fold themselves into a box, and those kind of things. Most of them work for circuses and everything, and they're usually very tall people and have very elongated, huh?
Just to make sure we're talking about the same thing, you're talking about JHS, joint hypermobility syndrome, I think is what you're talking about.
I really don't know what it is, but these are people that are very flexible. I mean, they don't have to train themselves like a gymnast would in order to be that flexible. It just comes naturally to them, and they can just,
it's called hypermobility. It's a disease in humans that allow their joints to stretch farther than they normally would, and again, they can usually do it without any special training or anything. And this one's easy. Just look at pretty much any demon movie ever.
Yeah, pretty much. The first time that I heard about it was actually in an episode of X-Files. It was that weird creature that was chewing paper and building its nest or whatever.
Yeah.
And he could like literally just squeeze himself through the keyhole, and he was a human being. So I remember Mulder talking about it. But depending on the severity of this particular syndrome, you can have major heart defects and major issues with your organs, and your life expectancy is shortened because of it. However, that super flexibility comes with it's I guess a bonus in that you can actually, because of your flexibility, you're not prone to getting hurt as most people would be. You learn to dodge things very quickly. You can bend. You can. There was one case that I recall. Somebody was in a car accident. They needed the jaws of life. This was actually right north of San Antonio in a town called Bernie, and north. It's more northwest of San Antonio, and they needed the jaws of life. And the person, they finally got the person out, and she just had scratches, but she had contorted herself to fit in what was left of the opening when the engine pushed in and whatever. So And the guys, the EMTs were like, I don't know how that happens. Like, well, I've always been able to bend in different directions. And, she could bend her elbows to the back and all this stuff. And we, people were just like freaking out. It turned out that she had been a circus performer as well. So she said, oh, I was born this way, blah, blah, blah. And she never thought anything of it. I mean, it's a big, it was bigger news, the fact that she was all bendy, than it was that she had survived this major crash. That was the bigger news, that she bent all in all directions or whatever. So, and I guess with that comes a certain amount of pain tolerance as well, because you have that flexibility. But is there a movie about? Well, yeah, I guess you already said.
Well, I mean, actually, not only are there movies about it, but I will say that one of the things that used to freak me out when I used to watch shows like America's Got Talent was when people could do that stuff live on stage, and you're just like watching them cram themselves into boxes. And then there was the one chick that was crawling across the stage upside down and backwards, and I'm like, dude, she looks possessed. So I had to look it up because it was freaking me out. I was like, are these people actually demons on TV right now, or is there something else going on? Because that's what it reminds me of. Their joints start doing all these things that joints are not supposed to do. So I looked it up, and that's when I found out. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's pretty common. My monitor just went to sleep, and I'm currently using my mouse. That was weird. Anyway, I fixed it though.
I know that there's a certain amount of there's a gene that affects pain tolerance, and it's associated with red hair for some reason. So, but there is, I know that the maybe one of the main things with Down syndrome is a high amount of pain tolerance. I mean, it's a very high level of pain tolerance. But outside of Down syndrome, there is a gene that is associated with people who have red hair that allows for a high pain tolerance. And maybe that's why red-headed people steal souls. I don't know. But it is interesting that there's a correlation between that, the gene for red hair and that gene for pain tolerance. So red-headed people, depending on the more red-headed you are, the more fiery your hair is, the higher your pain tolerance is, apparently. So not all redhead people will fall under that, because there are some that are more auburn, tend to be on the more brown of the scale than the red. So the more fiery your red hair is, naturally, not from a bottle, but naturally, the higher your pain tolerance level would be. So I'm sure that there are movies that have been made about that. I know that they've made them. I know that, I guess, Unbreakable, but that's
Yeah.
a different gene, because he wasn't a redhead. And there is actually a gene that affects your bone structure. And it actually makes your bones like super dense. These people have a very difficult time learning to swim because of it. But that is, that gene, that mutation that gives you a very dense bone structure, also gives you extra bony plates in your mouth. So that's a detraction. But one of the pluses, a big plus on this one, is that you seldom break a bone. I mean, it is very difficult for people who have the specific genetic mutation to actually break their bones. And so that's a definite plus for a lot of people. And that would be unbreakable, The movie, I
Well,
mean.
that's
That was, I guess that's the only movie that I can think of where that particular mutation is taken and elevated to the point where he can be like a superhero, you know?
yeah. I mean, I was looking, but apparently now my internet's decided to start being dumb. I think I've overtaxed it while we're streaming.
Anyway, but those are some of the, I guess, the cool genetic mutations. There's some that are not. I mean, a lot of the genetic mutations that people suffer tend not to have any side benefits that could, detract from the actual genetic mutation. Cystic fibrosis is one that I can think of that actually that condition, because depending on how severe it is, I can't think of any side effect that would be beneficial, like I would with the supervision or the, super dense bones or whatever, like that. Simply, I mean, it being the fact that these people have a very shortened lifespan because of it, that, and they do have to go through a lot of medication and therapy in order to live with that disease. So, and like I said, sickle cell, it depends on where you live in order for you to actually reap the benefit of having the immunity to malaria. So, like, for example, like I said, in Canada, it's not going to do you any good, but it would do you good in living in Africa or the Middle East or the Mediterranean basin. So, let's see. Some people think that obesity is a genetic mutation. I am not there yet, but I did hear that there was some studies that suggest that obesity tends to be a genetic anomaly, and I'm like, then it no, I just don't see it, but I don't know enough about it. But the one that's really interesting that actually is beneficial to other people and not the person that has it is hemochromatosis. That's when your body actually makes too much, um, and cannot get rid of the iron in the blood, and that's actually beneficial to other people. So you have to go get drained. Your blood has to be drained, and that blood can actually help someone who has an iron deficiency. So, in a way, that is a beneficial mutation, but not to the person that suffers from it. And I think that's
Yeah, I've never actually heard of that one, but I did actually find sort of Italian, kind of redhead, high tolerance for pain horror movie, and it was a more movie called Redhead. Apparently, it is a redheaded woman who was held captive and tortured, and eventually killed the dude who was holding her hostage and torturing her. So I did sort of find Italian for that one, sort of.
oh well, there's literally a movie called Redhead.
Yep.
Oh, that's great. Now, hematoma was something that I had to learn about because I'm not able to donate blood. My veins are uh, they're too small for the needles. And believe me, I have tried many, many times to donate blood, and I just they've written me off. Almost all donation centers have just said forget it. But since I can't donate, I can at least volunteer. And we had a gentleman who would come in every month, and he would donate, but his donation was specifically for people who suffered from anemia, because his donation was hematocrosis. So he had to get rid of the blood in order to be able to not die. So, and if it goes undiagnosed, you bleed internally, and it will affect uh, your organs. You know, the liver will be completely severely damaged to the point that it cannot regenerate. So it can be really bad. But one of the ones that really, I did not know this. I found out about this from my guests that I had. It turns out that Paul's wife is, she tries to eat gluten free, but she has a lactose intolerance. And she's a nurse, and she was telling me about this. It turns out that our disposition for drinking milk as adults is actually a genetic defect. Did you know that? Every mammal on the planet stops drinking milk once they can eat other foods because they stop producing lactase to break down the milk. We don't. We stop. We had a genetic
Well, I wonder.
mutation.
I wonder if that's not starting to change, though. Maybe that's why we have so many people that are starting to become lactose intolerant.
Well, I think what happened, we have like half the population is lactose intolerant. But what was discovered was that we're intolerant to several of the proteins, but not all of them. So by removing these certain proteins from the milk, these people can't actually drink them. And then, they have your lactose-free stuff where they remove all the lactose. But it has, lactose intolerance is, I remember my grandmother talking about her husband was lactose intolerant. This was, when they got married in the 20s. So this, if that was not anything new, what happened was that they would still drink the milk and just deal with, the stomach issues and just go on. They just sucked it up. It's pretty much what my grandmother told me. Yeah, it didn't kill him or anything, and he just didn't want to give up milk. He liked milk. So I don't know. But I thought that was interesting, that it was a genetic mutation that allows us to actually drink milk. That we're not supposed to have that genetic mutation. We're not supposed to be able to drink milk once we start eating solid foods. Because once your body recognizes that you're eating other things besides milk, it'll stop the lactase production. And because it expects you not to drink any more milk. Milk is supposed to just sustain you until you can eat the solid foods. So I always thought that was kind of, I was talking to her about it. I was like, I had no idea. I just don't particularly care for milk. Don't come at me. Don't come at me. I just never liked the taste of milk. And I think the reason is the taste, the lactose, the actual sugar in the milk tastes weird to me. So I've never actually liked the taste of milk. So I add another sugar in order to counteract the lactose, and then I can drink it. So chocolate milk is fine. Strawberry milk is fine. Vanilla milk is fine. Adding just a spoonful of honey is fine. A spoonful of sugar is fine. Any other sugar I could put in there, it's fine. And I can drink the milk. But drinking plain milk, just to me, it tastes horrible. I can't stand the taste.
You sound like one of my cousins. You sound like one of my cousins. She was the same way. I can't drink milk. I'm like, yeah, you just seem weird to me, but whatever.
No, and milk doesn't bother me. I'm able to digest it just fine. I'm not lactose intolerant. I just don't like the taste. And I've tried explaining this to people, and they're like, so you have an intolerance? I said, are you not listening? I can digest cheese, ice cream, yogurt, sour cream, buttermilk, anything you throw at me. I can digest it fine. I just don't like the taste of milk. And they're like, well, why is it that you don't, why can't you drink milk? They don't hear me. Honest to God, I have tried explaining this to my mother so many times. I've given up. And she will serve me a glass of milk every morning when I sit down with my coffee, which ironically has milk in it. Okay. And she will put a glass of milk with my breakfast or whatever. And I will just grin and bear it and just drink it because it's no use arguing with my mother, first of all. And second of all, she's not listening. So why should I repeat myself every time I go see her? But my dad looked at me when the last time I was there before my mom left for Puerto Rico, and she puts a glass of milk and he's like, aren't you going to put chocolate in it? And then I said, no, it's okay. She doesn't, whatever. I just drank it. My dad knows I don't like the taste. My mom just does not get it. So I just let it go.
Let it go.
Let it go. Let it go. Anyway, so yeah, those are some fun mutations and I know that Hollywood has actually adapted mutations in a different way. I mean, look at the X-Men movies. All the X-Men had some sort of mutation that was adapted from actual mutations that people do suffer in real life, like Cyclops with the ruby, whatever, um, ruby glasses or whatever it was called. That was actually taken from the actual mutation of color blindness, the whole red-green thing. But I don't know. They can't leave well enough alone. They always have to elevate it. regular mutations are just not good enough for Hollywood.
They can't help themselves.
Well, that's about it for me. So I guess we could cut out early so that you can go do your Misfits stuff.
I've actually been doing it while we've been talking. You forget. I usually
I know
walk
you
on our busy nights, so I'm used to doing multiple things at once.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Did you want to talk about anything else?
No, I mean, not really. I mean, like I said, you were on for an extra 30 minutes than you planned last night, so I didn't know if you wanted to stay on for the full 90 tonight anyway. I'm still here regardless because I got to start catching Jersey Joe's show here in about 8 minutes. So.
Oh, yeah. That's true. It's a fun show. All right. Well, I guess I will sign out then and go pass out or something. I don't know. I'm still cross-stitching. Cross-stitching all the things.
What is it with you and Laura? You're like both cross-stitching at the same time. What is it?
We trade patterns. I was like, that's so cute. Send me the pattern. And then I'll send her the pattern for something or whatever. Which reminds me, I'm going to run copies of the patterns that I have and I'm going to send them to her. I'm going to mail them to her so that she doesn't have to print them out or anything like that. No, yeah, I found my cross-stitching, doppelganger in Laura. That's kind of cool. I don't have anybody else to talk to about cross-stitching. She's the only one.
Well, that's because the rest of us have normal things to do.
Okay, Danielle, you're gonna have to show us the Oreo bat snacks. We got to see that.
Oreo bat snacks. We got to see those.
She better post she better post them on X.
I got a Halloween related thing going on Misfits List Mischief over on the KLR radio feed. You can always post them over there. Just saying.
Oh yeah, that's true. She can. Yeah, this weekend I have to work on my costume. It's going to be a little risque this year. Yeah, and I'm actually going to have to call Orty and ask him for help on this.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it's gonna be grand.
Now I'm.
You know me. I don't like the sexy, the sexy costuming or anything. But the idea that I have, I'm trying to I cannot go down that road. So I need Orty's help. So I'll be getting in touch with Orty when he has time. I know you're listening. I can't say it out loud here. I'll DM you. I'll DM you with my questions.
Well, a surprise. She can't say it out loud yet.
Nope, I can't. I cannot disclose. I cannot disclose. But you know, I'm 57. I don't do the sexy thing. I don't. But this particular costume kind of needs a little oomph or something. But I don't want to go down that road. That's why I'm the he's my okay. It has to do with punk. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
So you're going as a pumpkin spice MILF, aren't you?
Oh, dear, not. No. 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 No, no, no. I'm actually I can't even say what I'm going as because it's a surprise.
That's all right. Just DM. We'll get to see it eventually. You usually
post. You will. You'll get to see it on the 31st.
So you usually post, so that's fine.
I do. I just want to make sure that I'm not being overly over that kind of thing. So
she's doing, and Danielle in the chat, she's doing steampunk.
I wish. I did do steampunk one year and I did not take a picture and I have lived to regret it. I actually went as the steampunk version of, gosh, what was it? It was a character in a Disney character. Oh, the steampunk version of Belle. I went as a steampunk version of Belle, but not in the yellow dress, in the blue and white one. That one was cool. And I did that one. That one was really neat.
Very cool.
Yeah, and I did take a picture of that. Oh well. Okay.
Right. Why don't you remind folks where it is they can find you around these places?
Jeff, that's gonna be a really good costume. He's going against an alien.
I mean, all he's got to do is roll out of bed.
Well, you can find me at Aggie Weekend and at Aggie Barkeep. Those are over on X. You can find me 8:30 p.m. Eastern Tuesday nights doing the Cocktail Lounge with the ever suave Brad Slager. 8:30 p.m. Eastern Friday nights doing He Said, She Said with the awesome Rowdy Rick. Last Wednesday of every month at 8 p.m., the guys get together for Toxic Masculinity, where we host a Babe of the Month and I bring the drink of the evening. And last but not least, Jeff and I now run Spirited Books, which is on every first Monday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. And how about you, Rick? Where can we find you?
Don't find me. It's a trap. You can follow along with me at RowdyRick73. You can also follow along with the station at KLRN Radio. You can also follow along with our new news arm at Digital Beacon US. And you can find me here most weekdays, Tuesday through Friday, doing the Rick Robinson Show from noon to 3 Eastern. You can find me doing this one with you, still flying Missing Man formation for the beloved Mickey Blowtorch, but I will keep the seat warm, and hopefully at some point he decides to come back, and we'll see. So tomorrow night I'll be doing double duty. So we've got Front Porch Forensics tomorrow night, and then right after that we've got actually I think Jeff is doing, because we're doing things early. So I think we start 7 Eastern tomorrow, and then Jeff is doing one of his Halloween related shows at 9 Eastern, and then Orty and I kick off the final night of Vampires on Juxtober at 10 Eastern, which is our normal time. So we've got 5 hours of spooky related content in a row tomorrow night, which should be a lot of fun. Sunday night I'll be back doing America Off the Rails. I think it's back to its normal time because Al comes back. So that should be 10 Eastern, I believe. Because as far as I know, I think we're back to normal programming on Sunday nights starting this coming Sunday. Monday, I am off from radio. There'll be some form of a best of. I haven't decided what I'm going to be running yet. And then Tuesday night, I'm usually on the Manorama panel hanging out with Rancor Steve. And they are joining the KLRN Radio family probably the week after election or the following. I think it may be the 19th of November when we're going to start officially streaming them. But it's got to become a family affair anyway because half our folks are over there most of the time. And then Wednesday night Full Boat doing whatever with myself and Stacy at 7 p.m. Eastern. This Wednesday will be Toxic Masculinity because it's the last Wednesday of the month. Then 8 o'clock lately, we've been, or 9 o'clock lately, we've been running behind Enemy Lines Radio because Fubar is on hiatus and the other show that was going to be spinning up on opposite weeks hasn't started yet. And then Orty and I are usually your closing act on Rick and Orty at 10 p.m. Eastern. And then I do Jen and Rick also at 10 p.m. Eastern on Thursday. Did I mention my name's Rick? I'm a workaholic and my last meeting was forever ago. And if you thought I was done, I'm not, because I still also contribute at twitchy.com, misfitspolitics.com, loftusparty.com, and I produce the Loftus Party podcast, which drops on Tuesdays. So again, did I mention that I'm a workaholic?
I got the gift. I got the gist of it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's it. We're going to get out of here, ladies and gentlemen. Hang out here in just a minute. We're going to reset the feed and have the Reaver of Common Sense running over here. Also, we'll be doing Misfits, less Mischief the rest of the night over on the KLR radio feed. Probably keep that up and running until about 11:30 Central, maybe midnight, 12:30 Eastern. And I'll be interacting a little bit more over there now that I'm not doing this. A lot of it's been running on autopilot, and I've still been trying to pay attention a little bit. But we are going to get out of here. So have a great night, everybody, and thanks for hanging out with us.
Good night, y'all.